All right, it's factor time. We are going to be solving quadratic equations by factoring. Let's grab us a quadratic equation first. We'll start with a nice one. How about this? X squared equals, let's say 7x. Okay, first step in solving a quadratic equation by factoring, you need for everything to be on the left side of the equal sign, and it has to be equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 7x from each side. So I now have x squared minus 7x equals 0. Then I'm going to factor out a greatest common factor because I have only two terms, and even though there's a negative and this one's a perfect square, 7x is not a perfect square. So this is not a difference of two squares. So the only thing I can do is factor out my greatest common factor, which is going to be x. So x, what's left over is x minus 7 equals 0. Now I'm going to apply the zero product property. What does that mean? You take each of the products and set them equal to 0, and then you can solve for the variable. So x equals 0 and x minus 7 equals 0. Well, this one's already solved, so that's cool. Here is one answer right there. And then here I have to add 7 to each side to solve for x. And I have x equals 7. So my two answers are 0 and 7. All right, now we're going to do another one, a little bit larger. This one's going to be a trinomial. So I have x squared minus 7x equals negative 12. Okay, this time this one will not factor by just a greatest common factor. We have to have it set equal to 0 first. If it's already set equal to 0, that would be great, because then you don't have to do any subtracting or adding. We have to add 12 to both sides because we want everything on the left and have this equal to 0, so we can use our zero product property. So we have x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. Next, I have to factor this. I am looking for numbers, and my factors are equal to 0. Looking for numbers that will multiply to give you 12, and when you add them together, you get a negative 7. So in the first position, I'm going to have my x and my x. Now, in order for them to multiply to give me a positive number, I have to have the same sign. Since my middle term is negative, they both have to be minus. So x minus and x minus. Well, 4 times 3 makes 12, and when you add 4 to 3, you get 7. So 4 and 3. X minus 4 and x minus 3 are my factors. I take each factor equal to 0, so x minus 4 equals 0, and x minus 3 equals 0. Add 4 to each side. X equals 4. And here I'm going to add 3 to each side. And I get x equals 3. So my two answers are 3 and 4. Have fun factoring, everyone. It's factor time.